What's up? The biggest difference between being overly optimistic and overly pessimistic is that by being overly pessimistic, you're essentially dooming yourself for the next however many years you'll be alive. If you're a pretty young guy like myself, you probably live another 40, 50 years, probably even longer than that. And you're going to call it quits already because things aren't going your way. As opposed to being overly optimistic, and notice how I'm speaking overly, and the way that I define overly pessimistic is, well, I think most people are probably overly pessimistic, not just pessimistic. It's because they doom themselves early on in life, and I would call that overly, is because like the future hasn't even been written yet and you're going to call it off already. So that's automatically overly. Overly optimistic means you're relying on things or you're believing things that can happen that you never even saw happen in your own life. It may have happened in others, but it didn't happen in your life. So maybe you call that overly optimistic. And I don't really want to go through the weeds and try to differentiate and say, speak to this variant and that variant. All I'm saying is, because like I just said, the future hasn't even been written yet. So to be overly optimistic or optimistic in general is to understand that there are endless possibilities and that one major move can knock out, most of your problems. It could eradicate a lot of the minor problems that created a massive problem. All right. So my homework to you is to get rid of things that put you in this perpetual state of negativity. If it means you got to quit drinking, smoking, and hanging around certain people, if it means you have to cut out certain habits, if it means you have to stop scrolling on social media, whatever it is, whatever puts you in this state, whatever you can control, whatever puts you in this state of misery, the state of negativity, the state of pessimism, you must get rid of it. And like I spoke about in the last video, I believe, you create this void that will enable you to fill it up with something more positive, something that will help your narrative along. So if you're going to be deemed a fool, be the fool that is overly optimistic. Not the one who is, a fortune teller, who can tell themselves right here, right now, that they are doomed for life, and that's it. It's pretty audacious, pretty arrogant to me. I'd rather just keep my head to the possibilities, and at the very least to say, look, I don't know. The future hasn't been written yet. We're going to see. I'm going to do all that I can to make this a positive outcome, because if I want to have a positive outcome, maybe I should be focusing on the positives. I feel like somebody who focuses on the negative all the time, they, in some weird way, they want negative to come about. Like, that's just my way of thinking, So fill your head up with more positive stuff, not this bullshit. Obviously, you got to put in work, but it starts in the mind, it ends in the mind. All right? Best wishes. You'll be seeing a lot more of me soon.